Kidmissing TV. I'm your host, Angelina Wilson. Today, we're going to talk about the Belle Chasse John Doe. He was said to be between 16 and 17 years old. On Valentine's Day 1975, he hung himself from a persimmon tree. Persimmon's a little fruit. I wasn't able to find a picture of a persimmon tree that would have been, well, first of all, the right kind of persimmon tree, but also one big enough for anyone to be hanging from without snapping the branches. They look so small. This must have been a very old tree. Again, Belle Chasse is in Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana. In Louisiana, parishes are what they use instead of counties. He left a note, and if you recall Tuesday, I told you you're going to need a box of tissues. He was not wearing shoes. He had a maroon and yellow knit shirt, blue trousers, and unmatched socks. A jar lay against the tree trunk filled with notepaper. That's where his suicide note was. He left a note addressed to Mom and Dad, which read in part, "When you stop growing, you are dead. I stopped growing long ago. I never did develop into a real person. I cannot tolerate the false and empty existence I have created." This is so beyond heartbreaking. He included this notation for police: "You are bound to preserve domestic peace and order. If you pursue who I was and spend hundreds of dollars, you will accomplish little. There are no legal consequences of my death or any kind of entanglements. All that can happen is that you will shatter the domestic peace of two innocent lives. Do not deprive them of the hope that their missing son will return. Let me be. Let it be as if I wasn't ever here. Simply cremate me as John Doe." He goes on to say, "It is best if I cease to live quietly than risk that later I will break and shatter by violence or linger years under care. I implore you to see a psychiatrist in order that you might understand my death and my life. Ask thoroughly about what I was, and you will see that it is not tragic that I am gone, but more natural than if I continued." Wow. Then there was a section where he wrote, "Why you should not feel responsible. I was born with a definite, pervasive melancholy. What frustrated me most in the last year was that I had built no ties to family or friends. There was nothing of lasting worth and value. I led a detached existence. I was a parody of a person, literally and figuratively. I didn't tell jokes. I was a joke." The suicide note is quite lengthy and cites writings of Emile Durkheim, a philosopher and psychologist. The young man said that Durkheim called suicide an inner direction of homicidal feelings against someone else. He ends the note by saying, "I am no longer interested in the world and know that it is not interested in me. When you stop growing, you are dead. I stopped growing a long time ago." That is, to me, beyond sad. Before I continue, a lot of people have said maybe he had a mental illness, maybe he was a sociopath. I don't know about that. And some people say he might have been gay, which at the time would have been no. In fact, in some places against the law. So, and certainly it was still in the, I can't remember the 3 letters for it, but the psychiatric manual anyway, at the time, as a mental illness. So, That's how he would have been treated. On a separate scrap of paper, he wrote this note to his parents. You have provided me with excellent advantages and privileges and experiences. I am extremely grateful for all of your sacrifices, time, and support. I am now repaying you with an arrogant act. In this light, I do see it as criminal. I can only hope that you see that it was me who caused it. The young man's description and fingerprints were circulated to police throughout the U.S. He was not identified. He still has not been identified. He seems to be very intelligent. There was an article, the complete story, March 27, 1975, in the Post-Crescent, Appleton, Nehemiah, Menasha, Wisconsin News. I don't know why it was there. Maybe it picked up on the AP. Who was this child? What was wrong with him? A lot of questions. Now, very interestingly, I did find, well, before I tell you who I think he is, there were dentals compared to a young man named Perry Corlew from Michigan, who went missing in 1974. Unfortunately, Perry Corlew's dentals got lost during this process. And also, unfortunately, our John Doe's case file got drowned during Katrina, so that really sucks. But we do know that John Doe, one of the reasons that I thought he might have been gay, besides how he wrote, was that his shirt was a Puritan brand, which was a high-end brand from Cape Cod. And I know Provincetown, or P-Town, as it's called locally, was and is a place where gay people gather. So, not only have they lost his file, but they managed to somehow lose the dental records of this poor missing kid. So, but I actually think he could be a young man aged 22 named Bayard Cousins, missing 2175 from Virginia Beach, Virginia. I am going to show you the picture of Bayard next to his picture. You can make up your own mind, let me know in the comments. But I think it's uncanny. I really, really do. And I think it's something that should be checked out somehow. I'm not sure how they would do it at this point. I don't think John Doe was mentally ill, because he wouldn't have had the kind of insight that he had. He had a lot of insight. Most people don't have insight into their mental illness if they're severely mentally ill. He did mention melancholy, which is depression. And depression can come from all sorts of issues, like being gay in a time where it would not have been accepted, and not being your authentic self, which is another reason why I thought that he might be gay. And let me be clear here, I do not judge for that. Yes, I've told you I'm a devout Christian, and I know typically in Christianity that's not acceptable, but I choose not to judge, you know, because I believe he or whoever was born that way. My opinion. There was no car anywhere, but from the way he spoke, it appears that he came from a well-to-do family. He was well educated. Um, Now, his age estimate, I know that the young man I felt was him in my research, um, and I had never come across him before yesterday, believe it or not, and I've researched his case extensively. Um, was 22 years old, but age estimations as you get older get tougher. Now, yeah, they probably did look at his molars and stuff, but everybody's a little bit different when it comes to that. Mine started coming in at 17 and was still coming in my 30s when I finally had them extracted. So everyone is different. Also, different bones fuse at different ages, and I'm just going to thank you, Carl Kopelman, for this. He's an incredible forensic artist, um, to explain when each of these growth plates closes. Elbows, age 11 to 13. Hips, age 13 to 15. Ankles, age 14 to 16. Knees, age 15 to 17. Wrists, age 16 to 18. And shoulders, age 18 to 21. The collarbone, which would be this bone right here, is the last bone to fuse when it fuses at the sternum, and that is between the ages of 18 and 21. So I'm sure that they didn't look that closely at him, to go through all the bone ages, sadly. If Bayard Cousin's family is out there, still looking for answers, I just want to let you know that I don't know what to say, that somebody still remembers. I was so glad to see that online, and I was absolutely dumbfounded. Excuse me. That scared the poop out of me. I was dumbstruck by the fact. I don't want that.
We cannot come to the phone right now.
Please forgive that.
Including your phone number, and we will get back to you. Thank you.
They're not going to leave a message. I told ya. Shut up. I told you they weren't going to leave a message. I'd love to have you on Kidmissing Radio. I would love to talk about what they've done to try to compare your child to this boy. If you think it's your son. And that goes the same for the family of Perry Corlew. If you'd like to talk about your son's case, or if you believe that your son is him, or if your son was ruled out by the dentals. Would love to know that. I know that this poor child is not in NAMUS. Even if he's 22, he's a child to me. Unfortunately, he's not in the Doe network. I don't understand. That is something that fails to compute for me. Next time on Kidmissing TV, we will be talking about the case of Levi Friday. I mentioned him when I mentioned Levi's call, and I thought that I would take the opportunity to devote a show to him and his still unsolved homicide, because these parents deserve answers. All the parents do, because every kid missing is someone's missing child, regardless of age. Please check out our social media linked below. Thank you so much for your support. Please continue to click that like button. Please click subscribe. Have a wonderful spring day. I'm going to dedicate the show to my father. You'll see that dedication at the end. Tomorrow would be his 77th birthday. Love you, Daddy.